Hi, and welcome back to the Smallholding. In today's video, I'm going to be planting a bed of fast-growing willow. I've got two types of willow that I'm going to put in this area behind me here. So I spent a few days removing the hedge and chipping it all up. It was a laurel hedge. I'm not quite sure what sort of mulch laurel's going to make, but that's all I've got at the moment, so that's what I'm using. So I've spread all that over the whole area about 1 inch deep, and I'm going to be putting my whips in now. I'm aiming to get hopefully around the 200 mark, and what I'm doing this time, rather than doing them as cuttings that are just coming out of the ground, I'm doing them at 30 inches because I'm just thinking, you know, I'm 50 now. As going forwards, it'd be nice to have them at height where I haven't actually got to bend to cut them, and I can just go along, you know, without having to hurt my back or hurt my knee. So that's the plan anyway. So let's go and get started. Right, so what I'm doing, basically, I've already got 9 rows in. So I've basically got this that I use for my Christmas trees, just a little spacer. It was 4.5 feet, I think it was, but I've cut it down to 1 meter. I'll just use this to roughly get an idea of where the hole's going to be. It's about there. Take back the wood chip. Check again. It's a little bit of a fiddle, but you know, it just keeps it roughly on track, because over the course of 20-30 rows you could end up being off by a fair bit if you just do it by eye. I'm famous for doing things by eye, and when I finish they're completely out. So just using the stick anyway just helps. Now my soil here, about 10 to 12 inches down, gets quite stony, so I'm only getting them 10 to 12 inches really, but I'm using a spade rather than my dibber because I'm planting all different thicknesses of cutting, because to get 200 cuttings I'm going to struggle a bit. So I'm using that 2-year-old and 3-year-old stuff that I've got on some of the trees dotted about. That's about as low as I can comfortably go. And then all I do, these have just been stood in the bucket over there, I'll just do a quick fresh cut. And then just, because the hole's obviously about 6 inches round, just make sure I get the cutting about spot on. Like that. And then if I can, I'll just push it 1 inch into the ground and then just backfill. And I think actually doing it this way, just taking the time to actually dig each hole. If you're doing thousands, you know, you wouldn't want to dig every hole, but doing it this way, it just means I can really firm it in nicely, and I can actually create a bit of a sort of saucer, inverted cone or whatever, just to catch a bit of the rain. And I think being able to firm it like that just stops any air gaps. And then all I do is so I've got the meter on the bottom, I've got this line I marked at 30 inches, and I'm just cutting just slightly above the 30 inches, and probably be just enough for another cutting. So yeah, at 30 inches I think that's going to be quite good height, either to use a chainsaw or handsaw without having to bend too much. It's also out of rabbit height. Obviously I'll leave the rabbit guards on for a couple of 3 years. There is rabbit fencing around here, but it's very old and a bit naff, and they do dig under it sometimes. But yeah, so that's what we got. I'm on my 9th row now. Now all I'm doing as I finish a planting session, I'll just do 20 or 30 at a time or something, whenever I get a spare hour. And then I come along and just give them a bit of a water as well, just to really sort of soak this. It's quite damp, but just to soak the soil right around the cutting. Just obviously as it's going to try and root. We're in March now, it's already starting to bud. The actual little pussy willow bits are coming out, so it will all start shooting soon. March is quite a good month to get them in. I would have liked to perhaps done it in February, but it was a bit of a last minute decision. I was going to turn this area into veg patch and double my existing veg patch, but I thought, you know what, I've already got like 2.5 standard allotment sizes there, and it's just too much for me. I'll struggle to keep on top of that. So really, willow for me is a crop. It's a crop that obviously is going to save me money, because you know, gas prices and electric prices aren't coming down. They're probably never going to come down, are they? They're always going to go up. So at the moment I harvest enough logs to sort of be able to light my wood burner at home every evening, you know, for a few hours in the evening. But I definitely need to double or triple my log production to be able to run it 24 hours and actually properly save some money. So I'm still planting trees as normal. If you see my other videos, you'll see I planted sycamore, extra sycamores. I'm always growing trees from seed, things like that. So I just had this last minute idea to just do this as a willow bed. I don't think willow wood on its own is a particularly great firewood. I've burnt a lot of willow, don't get me wrong. In the past, anything I can get my hands on, I've burnt a lot of willow. If I ever get a job pollarding willows, which I've occasionally done, I've kept the wood. Just odd ones. I'm not a tree surgeon, but I have done odd ones in the past. But yeah, it burns right if you season it for at least a year, if not 2 summers. But I just think to add to what I've got, which is sycamore and birch and hazel and a lot of ash that unfortunately is dying from dieback. But yeah, mix it in with the hardwoods. I think it'd be fine. But what I'm hoping is to get 200 trees in here, and I've read a bit of research. I should get on a 5-year cycle, from 200 trees planted at metre spacings like this, I should get 2 tons of dried, seasoned logs every 5 years. That's what I've sort of found out. Obviously, that's going to vary site to site. This was a willow bed probably about 15 years ago, and I grubbed it all out to turn it into a potato patch. And the willow grows fine. It grew nice and strong, but back then I was only harvesting it for rods. I was going to do like fencing and stuff. I never did it. That's why I ended up grubbing it all out. Something I didn't bother doing in the end. So I'm now replanting the area again. But yeah, so hopefully this is going to work as the pollards. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is obviously I've never planted them with this much out the ground. There's only like 10 to 12 inches in the ground and 30 inches out. So I'm not going to let it shoot, because it will try and shoot from all these buds all the way. I'm sure it's try and shoot. So what I'm going to do through the summer, perhaps every month, I'm going to have to come along, pull the guards up or just twist them off, and just, you know, shred off all the soft shoots. You can kind of just pull them off with your hand, or pinch them out with thumb, and just leave any shoots in the top sort of 3 inches or something that will form eventually like the knuckle of the low pollard. So yeah, hopefully this will keep them out of the range of rabbits, and be a bit easier on my back for harvesting. But anyway, I'm going to get them in over the next few days, and I'll come back and show you when it's all planted. Oh, what I will just say, the 2 willows I've got then, so this area took 2/3 this top rectangle I'm going to plant with this willow, which is just called Hybrid Red. I got it from a company, I can't remember the name of the company, but it was just called Hybrid Red, one of their own sort of developed breeds, strains. And this one grows a bit shorter than the other variety that I've got, which is Salix viminalis. The viminalis grows tall really fast, but it doesn't get as thick, as quick as the red willow. But I still would like to keep some of it anyway, so I've got both types going. So I'm going to do this top section, which is at 2/3, will be the red willow, which is a bit shorter, a bit stouter, and then the other L-shaped bit by the gate where you saw me at the beginning, I'll do the viminalis, which grows taller. It does get thick, but it just doesn't get thick quite as quick as this one. But you will get longer shoots with it. So I'll do that with the viminalis. So about 1/3 viminalis, and about 2/3 red. If I can harvest enough cuttings, I've only got a limited amount of trees, so I'm kind of harvesting everything I can, right up to stuff that's sort of 1.5 inches thick. I assume it'll still take, I don't know, so that's a bit of a test in itself, but we'll see. It's all free anyway, so hopefully it'll take, and like I say, I'll come back and show you when it's all done. So I finished planting all the whips. I got the red willow comes to this row here, and that's 136 red willow, and then this last little patch over here to the top is the Salix viminalis. There's 136 red, 46 viminalis, so 182 in total. Didn't quite get the 200 I was after, and I did run out of guards. I can steal a few guards from tree planting that I've done, and a few of them have died, or the guards fell off and the rabbits ate them. But other than that, they're just gonna have to take their chances really. This area is rabbit fenced. This side is better. This other side not so good, but I'll fix it up a little bit as best I can, and they can just take their chances. I'm not too worried because, like I say, they're just cuttings off my own trees anyway. So that's another little project done. Not quite the 200 trees I was hoping for, but it's only just 18 shy. Obviously this is going to help me with my log production from the small holding. It may take 6 years for the first harvest, maybe 7, but then it should be like a 5-year cycle, and that should give me sort of, and lots of smaller stuff, but also up to maybe 3 to 4 inch logs. And they'll be fine for fire pits and using in the off-grid cabin. This is the thing, because I've now got the off-grid cabin, I'm going to need extra fuel for using that and cooking in there and all that sort of stuff, and I want to start spending a bit more time here, so fire pits, things like that, because it all just eats into my my winter fuel. So this is just to add to my log pile, so I will follow it forwards, show you the growth and stuff like that. Obviously I didn't put any weed membrane down here. When I planted a lot of my hedging, all my laurel hedging that over here behind me, all has plastic under it, and I just hate this stuff now. It's all starting to fray, and I get little bits of plastic everywhere. So I'm starting to, whenever I can, take it out. So all the hedging that I've taken out around this area had plastic under it. So that's my next job, is to pull all that out, all the pegs and everything. I'm just getting rid of it. I hate the stuff. So I'm relying on mulching now. So all of that laurel got chipped and it has all been put down. I've got plenty more hedge cutting to do, and I'm always doing jobs. Obviously I'm a gardener, so what I will do is just start tipping hedge cuttings in here and just kicking it about, putting them out, even if it's twiggy stuff, it doesn't really matter. Having these low pollards rather than coppice, they won't be affected by anything around the ground. I just won't put it too tight to them. I'm just hoping that that will act as a mulch, help to hold the moisture in, and obviously as it breaks down, it'll help to add a bit of goodness to the soil as well. So hopefully that'll work, and hopefully these being out of the ground, more than they're in it, a lot more than they're in it, isn't a problem. Now I know when you build archways, willow archways and fedges they call them, living hedges with willow, I know you do this, but obviously usually that would be in a garden and you'd have a hose. I've also got no mains water here, so really my worry is that having this much out of the ground and an inability to give them regular water, and that's going to be my problem. So I'm going to rely on the mulching. I can probably give them 1 or 2 waters, but if we get a long hot dry spell, the water's needed for the veg garden, really, more importantly. So that's my only issue. So like I say, I will be de-shooting these. Any of the shoots that come from here down, I will pinch them out, and I'll just let them form a bit of a knuckle at the top. So that's going to be an ongoing thing, and I think once they've got a nice stout stem, they'll stop perhaps trying to shoot from the bottom, but when they're young like this, they definitely will. I know they will. So they'll all need pinching out for a year or 2 at least, I should think. But yeah, I'll follow it forward, and hopefully in 5 or 6 years or so, I'll get a first harvest of sort of all different size shoots, but hopefully after that amount of time, up to sort of 3 or 4 inches, some of them, and that'll all add to my log pile anyway. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time.